Hi viewers, hope you are fine. The day of my wedding was supposed to be the happiest day of my life. At least, that's what everyone kept telling me. The ballroom sparkled under hundreds of crystal lights. Soft music floated through the air. Guests laughed, cameras flashed, and flowers covered every corner of the venue. From the outside, everything looked perfect. But perfection is often just a beautiful mask hiding something ugly underneath. And on that day, someone very close to me was about to tear that mask away. My name is Emma Carter. At 28 years old, I thought I had finally escaped the chaos that had followed me for most of my life. I was marrying Daniel, the man who had stood beside me through every storm. The man who believed in me when nobody else did, including my own family, especially my brother, Ryan. Growing up, Ryan and I had never been close. People always assumed siblings naturally loved each other. But sometimes family members become strangers long before they become adults. Ryan was only 2 years older than me, yet it felt like we lived in different worlds. My parents adored him. Everything he did was celebrated. Every mistake he made was forgiven. And every achievement of mine somehow became less important. If Ryan scored 80% on a test, everyone celebrated. If I scored 98, someone would ask why I missed the remaining 2%. At first, I thought that was normal. Then I grew older, and I realized it wasn't. The favoritism became impossible to ignore. But I stayed silent, because I loved my family. Even when they hurt me. Even when they disappointed me. Even when they chose Ryan over me again and again. Years passed. I built my own career. Started my own business. Worked endless nights. Sacrificed vacations. Missed birthdays. Missed holidays. Slowly, my hard work paid off. My company grew. My income grew. My confidence grew. For the first time in my life, I felt proud of myself. Unfortunately, success changes people. Not the successful person, the people around them, especially those who secretly resent them. Ryan's life was moving in the opposite direction. Job after job failed. Business idea after business idea collapsed. Relationships ended. Debts increased. And somehow, every problem was always someone else's fault. Never his. Never. Then Daniel entered my life. And everything changed. For the first time, I felt genuinely loved. Not judged. Not compared. Not criticized. Loved. Daniel never cared about my income. He never cared about my family's opinions. He never cared about appearances. He cared about me. The real me. The broken me. The exhausted me. The hopeful me. Every version of me. When he proposed, I cried before I even said yes. Not because I was surprised. Because I felt safe. For the first time in my life. Safe. But what I didn't know then was that our wedding would expose secrets buried for years. Secrets powerful enough to destroy my family forever. The morning of the wedding arrived. I woke up before sunrise. My heart raced with excitement. My bridesmaids filled the suite with laughter. Hairstylists rushed around. Makeup artists worked carefully. Everyone seemed happy. Everyone seemed excited. Everyone except Ryan. I noticed it immediately. He arrived late, barely smiled, barely spoke, and whenever he looked at me, something felt wrong. His eyes seemed cold, almost angry. I tried ignoring it. After all, it was my wedding day. I didn't want drama. I didn't want conflict. I wanted peace. But peace wasn't interested in visiting me that day. A few hours later, guests began arriving. The ceremony was beautiful. Daniel looked emotional when he saw me walking down the aisle. I nearly cried myself. Everything felt magical. Every fear disappeared. Every worry faded. And for a moment, I believed nothing could ruin this day. I was wrong. After the ceremony, everyone moved into the reception hall. Music played. Champagne flowed. People danced, laughed, celebrated. The atmosphere felt perfect. Then Ryan approached me, holding a glass, smiling. A smile I hadn't seen all day. "Congratulations, little sister," he said. I hesitated. Something felt strange, but I ignored the feeling. Because I wanted to believe he was finally happy for me. "Thank you," I replied. He handed me the drink. "To new beginnings." I smiled, raised the glass, and took a sip. Just one sip, nothing more. Then something unexpected happened. A voice suddenly echoed across the ballroom. "Ladies and gentlemen, stop." The music stopped instantly. Conversations ended. Hundreds of eyes turned toward the entrance. A woman stood there, breathing heavily, holding a folder, looking directly at me. My heart stopped. I had never seen her before, but she looked terrified, as if she had run for miles, as if she was carrying a secret too dangerous to keep hidden. The room fell silent, and then she pointed directly at Ryan. "Don't let her drink that." Every guest froze. My fingers tightened around the glass. Ryan's face turned pale, and in that single terrifying moment, I knew something was terribly wrong. Something that would change everything. The wedding, my family, and the truth about my brother. The ballroom became so quiet that I could hear my own heartbeat. Every guest stared at the woman standing near the entrance. Her chest rose and fell rapidly as if she had been running for her life. My fingers tightened around the glass Ryan had handed me. For the first time that day, fear crawled through my body. Not nervousness, not anxiety, fear, real fear. The woman pointed directly at Ryan again. "Take that glass away from her." Several guests exchanged confused looks. Daniel immediately stepped forward and gently removed the drink from my hand. "What is going on?" he asked. The woman swallowed hard. Her eyes never left Ryan. Ryan tried to laugh, but the sound that came out didn't sound natural. It sounded forced, almost desperate. "This is ridiculous," he said. "Who even are you?" The woman slowly walked toward us. "I think that's the real question." The room grew even quieter. I looked at Ryan. His face had lost all color. And suddenly, a memory flashed through my mind. A week earlier, I had walked into a restaurant unexpectedly. Ryan had been sitting with a woman. The same woman. At the time, I hadn't thought much about it. Now my stomach twisted. Why had he been meeting her? Why did he look terrified? And why had she just accused him in front of hundreds of people? The woman finally stopped a few feet away. "My name is Sophia." Nobody spoke. Nobody moved. Sophia opened the folder she was carrying. "I didn't come here to ruin a wedding." She looked directly at me. "I came here to save your life." The words hit me like ice water. A nervous murmur spread across the ballroom. My mother immediately stood up. "This is insane." But Sophia ignored her. Instead, she handed several documents to Daniel. Then she looked at me. 3 months ago, your brother hired me." Ryan immediately shouted, "She's lying." But his voice cracked, and everyone noticed. Sophia continued, "He hired me because I'm a private investigator." The room exploded with whispers. A private investigator? Why would Ryan hire one? Daniel quickly looked through the documents. His expression changed instantly. Shock, then anger, then disbelief. I felt my knees weaken. "What is it?" I asked. Daniel looked at me carefully, as if he didn't know how to answer. Sophia answered instead, "Your brother wanted information about your finances." My stomach dropped. She nodded. "He wanted access to your business accounts." The room fell silent again. Ryan suddenly stepped forward. "Stop listening to her." But nobody was listening to him anymore. Everyone was watching Sophia. She opened another file. At first I thought it was a normal investigation. She paused, but then I discovered something disturbing. My heart pounded harder. Sophia looked directly at me. "He wasn't trying to protect you." She pointed at Ryan. "He was trying to destroy you." Gasps filled the ballroom. My mother immediately shook her head. "No," but her voice sounded uncertain. Sophia continued, "He believed Emma had stolen the life he deserved." Ryan clenched his fists. His breathing became heavy. For years I had sensed his resentment. But hearing it spoken aloud felt different. More painful, more real. Sophia continued revealing document after document. Bank records, messages, financial transfers, everything. Apparently Ryan had accumulated enormous debt. Far more than anyone knew. Hundreds of thousands of dollars. Failed investments, unpaid loans, hidden gambling losses. The perfect image he showed our family had been a lie. The entire time, my father looked stunned. "You told us everything was fine." Ryan avoided eye contact. For the first time in years, nobody rushed to defend him. Nobody rushed to excuse him. The truth was standing in the middle of the ballroom. And it couldn't be ignored. Then Sophia revealed something worse. Much worse. A few days earlier, she had accidentally overheard a conversation. A conversation Ryan didn't know she heard. A conversation involving the wedding. And me. Sophia's voice trembled. He said after today, Emma's life would never be the same. The room went silent. Again, Daniel's jaw tightened. What exactly did he mean? Sophia looked toward the drink. The drink Ryan had handed me. The drink I had almost finished. Then she answered, I wasn't sure. The room held its breath. Until I saw him preparing something yesterday. A chill moved through my body. Ryan suddenly shouted, enough. Several guests jumped. His calm mask had finally shattered. Years of jealousy, years of resentment, years of bitterness, suddenly visible, and terrifying. Sophia didn't stop. I followed him. Ryan's eyes widened. I saw him purchase a substance. My mother grabbed a chair for support. My father looked completely frozen. Daniel stood protectively beside me. Sophia swallowed. It wasn't supposed to kill her. The room erupted. People started talking all at once. But Sophia raised her voice. It was supposed to make her seriously ill. My entire body went numb. I stared at Ryan, my own brother, the person who grew up with me, the person who sat beside me at family dinners, the person who shared my childhood. And suddenly I realized something painful. I didn't know him at all. Not anymore. Maybe I never had. Ryan looked around desperately, searching for support, searching for someone to rescue him. But nobody moved. Nobody defended him. Not this time. Finally he laughed. A strange laugh. Broken. Bitter. Defeated. You all think she's the victim. The room became silent again. Ryan pointed directly at me. She took everything. I felt tears forming. What are you talking about? His eyes filled with rage. The business. The money. The attention. The success. Every word sounded poisoned. For years he had blamed me for his failures. Not himself. The truth finally stood exposed. Not because of one mistake, but because years of jealousy had transformed into hatred. And hatred had transformed into something much darker. Something dangerous. Then Sophia revealed the final document. The one that changed everything. A signed agreement. An agreement proving Ryan had attempted to access my financial assets using forged documents. The ballroom exploded. Guests stared in disbelief. My father looked completely shattered. My mother began crying. And for the first time in his life, Ryan had nowhere left to hide. The truth had found him. And it wasn't finished yet. Because the biggest secret of all had not been revealed. Not yet. And when it finally came out, our entire family would never be the same again. The ballroom felt frozen in time. No music, no laughter, no celebration, only silence. The kind of silence that appears when a family is watching itself fall apart. I stood beside Daniel, staring at Ryan, my brother, the person I had spent years trying to understand, years trying to forgive, years trying to love despite everything. And now the truth stood in front of everyone. Exposed, ugly, impossible to deny. But I still didn't know the worst part. Not yet. Sophia slowly closed the folder in her hands. For a moment, I thought everything was over. I was wrong, because Sophia looked at my father. Then she said something that changed everything. There is one more thing. The room became silent again. My father looked confused. What do you mean? Sophia hesitated. For the first time all evening, she looked nervous. Then she handed another envelope to Daniel. I wasn't hired to investigate only Emma. My stomach tightened. Sophia looked directly at me. I was hired to investigate your entire family. A chill moved through the room. Daniel opened the envelope. As he read the documents, his expression changed completely. Shock, then disbelief, then absolute silence. I had never seen him look like that. My heart started racing. What is it? Daniel slowly looked toward my father. And suddenly, my father turned pale. As if he already knew. As if he recognized something. Something terrible. Then Daniel whispered, Emma. His voice shook. You need to sit down. My knees nearly gave out. The guests watched in complete silence. My mother looked terrified. What is happening? Nobody answered. Then Daniel handed the documents to me. I looked down, and my world stopped. Birth certificates, legal records, DNA reports, court filings. I stared at the pages. Unable to breathe, unable to think, unable to understand, until one sentence caught my eye. One sentence. One devastating sentence. Emma Carter is the sole biological heir of the Carter estate. I blinked. Once. Twice. Again, surely I was misunderstanding. But then I saw another document. And another. And another. Each confirming the same thing. The truth. The secret. The reason everything had happened. The reason Ryan hated me. The reason my father looked terrified. The reason Sophia had risked everything to get here. Then suddenly my father stood up. His voice echoed through the ballroom. "She's an imposter." Gasps filled the room. Every head turned toward him. My heart shattered. For a moment, nobody moved. Nobody spoke. The entire ballroom seemed frozen. Then something unexpected happened. Sophia calmly pulled out one final document and placed it on the table. The room went silent, completely silent, exactly as if time itself had stopped. The DNA report. The real DNA report. The one my father had hidden for years. Sophia looked directly at him. "No," she said softly. "She isn't the imposter." My father's face lost all color. The guests watched in stunned silence. Sophia continued. "The imposter was someone else." Nobody breathed. Nobody moved. Then she revealed the secret. 29 years earlier, my grandfather had built a massive family estate. Properties, investments, businesses, millions of dollars. Everything was supposed to pass to his only legitimate blood heir. Not Ryan. But after my grandfather died, my father discovered the truth. And he couldn't accept it. Because Ryan wasn't actually related to the Carter bloodline. The room exploded with shock. My mother burst into tears. Ryan looked frozen, as if his entire reality had collapsed. My father lowered his head. Defeated, broken, exposed. The secret he had hidden for decades was finally public. Years earlier, he had secretly altered records, hidden documents, manipulated family assets, protected Ryan, and buried the truth. Why? Because he loved Ryan. Because he couldn't bear the thought of losing him. But every lie creates another lie. And eventually the weight becomes impossible to carry. Ryan stared at the floor. His hands trembled. His face looked empty, lost. For years he believed the estate belonged to him. For years he believed success had been stolen from him. For years he blamed me. But now reality stood in front of him. The life he believed was stolen was never his. Not from the beginning. The ballroom remained silent. Nobody knew what to say. Then Ryan finally looked at me. For the first time in years. The anger was gone. The hatred was gone. Only sadness remained. And regret. Deep regret. Tears filled his eyes. "I'm sorry." The words were barely audible. But everyone heard them. My chest tightened. For years I imagined this moment. The moment he would finally admit what he'd done. The moment justice would arrive. Yet somehow, it didn't feel the way I expected. Because revenge doesn't always heal wounds. Sometimes it simply reveals how deep they are. Authorities later reviewed the evidence. The forged documents. The financial fraud. The attempted poisoning. Everything. Ryan was arrested. Several criminal charges followed. The investigation expanded quickly. Many of his hidden actions finally surfaced. People he had deceived came forward. Old lies resurfaced. Old secrets returned. Everything unraveled, just as the truth always does. Meanwhile, my father publicly admitted what he had done. His reputation collapsed almost overnight. The man who spent years protecting lies finally faced reality. And reality was merciless. Months passed. Then a year. Life slowly began rebuilding itself. The estate was legally transferred according to my grandfather's wishes. But something surprising happened. I didn't celebrate. I didn't throw a party. I didn't enjoy watching anyone suffer. Because despite everything, they were still my family. Broken, complicated, flawed, but family. The greatest victory wasn't money. It wasn't revenge. It wasn't winning. It was freedom. Freedom from lies. Freedom from manipulation. Freedom from years of emotional pain. For the first time in my life, I felt peace. Real peace. Daniel remained beside me through everything. Every hearing, every headline, every painful revelation, every tear, every sleepless night, and every step toward healing. One evening, long after the chaos ended, we sat together watching the sunset. For the first time in years, I wasn't angry. I wasn't afraid. I wasn't carrying the weight of other people's choices. I was simply living, and that felt beautiful. As the sun disappeared below the horizon, I thought about everything that had happened. The wedding, the betrayal, the lies, the courtroom, the secrets, the truth, and finally, the lesson. Because every story leaves something behind. Every wound teaches something. And mine taught me this. Sometimes the people who hurt us most are the people closest to us. Sometimes jealousy destroys what love should protect. And sometimes the truth takes years to arrive. But when it finally does, it changes everything. Not because it destroys lives. Because it sets them free. And that day, after years of pain, betrayal, and heartbreak, I finally became free. The end.